You're listening to REIA Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out REIARadio.com.
Welcome to REIA Radio. You're listening to the Real Estate Rundown with Ted Kosh
and Owen Dasher.
There we go.
Was that more conservative for you, Owen?
I don't like the whole Pavarotti thing you have going on with the intros.
I mean, we've
here.
only been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah, well, it's time for me to air my grievances. It grinds my gears.
When have you ever stopped? It grinds your gears. When's that segment going to officially happen here?
Well, I have one. I mean,
what has grinded Owen's gears this week?
People that don't do what they say they're going to do.
How so?
Okay, well, it could apply to anything. So if I say to you, Ted, I will have this done by tomorrow night, and you're going to be good to go.
Yeah, when they give
what's that say to you?
When they give you their word.
Yeah, you look me in the eyes and you say, I am going to do this, and you don't do it. What happens then?
I lose my trust.
It's an erosion of trust.
Yeah.
And so you can't rebuild that instantly. Like, if you consistently do that, you have to look in the mirror and say, who am I? Because if I'm not a man of my word or a woman of my word, then what am I doing? Like, I have had this happen probably 3 times this week where people have looked me right in the face and said, I will do X by X date, and they didn't do it. So what do you do then? Do you fire them? Do you what? I mean,
well, first off, it eats on my soul if I'm that person.
Oh my gosh! If I don't, my biggest fear in life is disappointing other people. Period.
Yeah.
If I disappoint somebody, I am sulking and I just hate it.
But
ever since I was a kid.
But also, if you can't accomplish the goal that you promised, it says a lot when you reach out to that person.
Exactly
ahead of time, because there's so many times that I've gone to a project or a property thinking that something is done, especially when it's a really time sensitive issue.
Yes.
And I go there and it's not done, nor was it even started.
Yep.
And then I have to call that person and be like, dude, you said this was going to be done.
Well, yeah.
It hasn't even been started.
Well, yeah, I meant to reach out to you and XYZ happened
but just,
blah, blah, blah.
Just tell me that it wasn't done instead of me finding it.
Yes.
I don't want to find it.
Yeah. So this actually dovetails really nicely to our Wednesday upcoming episode that is just a banger of an episode. And, our guest on the podcast mentions that, she's in the interior design business and has moved on to investing in real estate and construction and a whole bunch of different facets of real estate. But relying on people, and if they basically burn their own boats by telling you they're going to do something and don't follow through, what do you do then? And this is really common with contractors, right?
Yeah. So I mean, everything is a case by case situation. Also, I have a contractor that I use, and he's consistently inconsistent with his timelines.
Yes.
But there's also a factor that I know that he's not going to screw me on pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he will get the job done, and sometimes he will accommodate whatever the situation is. But there's been situations where I've reached out to him and I needed somebody on a fly to get some shit done, and he's shown up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I hate to say it like this, but sometimes with the contractors, not necessarily mine, but just in contractors in general, they're working at a different level. And I feel like a lot of times I work with contractors, you get all different types of people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get the successful business owner contractor. Sometimes you get the person that has some personal life issues and they're battling. And sometimes you get the person that is not a legal citizen, and that's the only type of work they can get because they can take some cash and get it on. You have all these different levels.
Okay.
But the person that you pick that is going to be your go-to person, you need to evaluate what is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that person you can call on a fly and they're going to be there.
Yeah, I need the XYZ happen. I need you to get over there in 2 hours, and they drop everything and go over there.
Yeah. So, one of the contractors I'm working with right now, if I have a now issue, most case scenarios I can call that person and they're going to show up, and there's a lot of dependability there. You know what I mean? And they don't charge me for every little thing. If I need quick help on something, I might not get that bill because I'm doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's that trust factor. Almost every case on every project I have, the timelines aren't happening.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a balance there. It's like, I'm getting these jobs done. That I need somebody on the fly. And maybe at one point I transition and say, maybe this is my person I use for my maintenance calls and on the fly calls.
Yeah.
And then I find somebody else for that.
You find somebody else for projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you have somebody that's like a go-to, they're going to drop everything and pay attention to it, but they're not reliable to finish like a kitchen remodel.
Yeah. And you're going to have to feel out each one of your people, because I think that everybody has a value, and you got to discover their value and how to focus on their strengths.
I think a big pitfall that I've had personally is that I believe in people generally until they prove me otherwise. So if you tell me you're going to do something, I'll probably believe you at least the first time. And if you say, you know what, this is going to be done, you look me in the eyes and you're like, this is going to be done in 2 days. And then I plan accordingly. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be done in 2 days. I can schedule pictures. I can list it this weekend. And then you show up a couple of days later and like nothing's been done, or like just partial work has been done. And you're like, dude, you really left me hanging here. Like I have all this stuff, other stuff scheduled. And then they're like, oh, I'm really sorry. I had XYZ happen. My girlfriend did this, or like, I had this life issue, or my truck didn't work. That's the common thing, is like they blame it on equipment. Right.
So what do they say those three things are that you got to decide between? Money, time, and quality, right? Is that what it is? But you can't have all three.
It's speed, quality, time.
Speed, quality, time.
Yeah, pick two.
Yeah, and that's what you got to really decide with a lot of contractors you're working with.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things where if you find something that's like insanely cheap, but they do really good work, you just have to build in, that there's going to be drama related to it. So you have to like double or triple their timeline and just be okay with that, or with some, stern talking to and whatever, but it's not like going to really do any good.
Like my guy doesn't stick to his time.
Yeah.
But the work he does is good, and his price is good, but his time frame sucks.
Yeah.
So, maybe that isn't the person that can do everything for me, but that's also that person has their value in your team.
What really grinds my gears, Ted, I know you love this.
Yeah, I do.
Is this exact situation. And here's what generally happens. It's like, we've talked about this before on other episodes, but you hire somebody and it never goes on time ever. Like I can't think of the last construction project that I've actually done that's finished on time and within scope.
I think I've had one in the last 4 years.
Yeah. And it's the nature of the business we're in. And unfortunately we were all like, oh yeah, you believe them, cause they're like, they look you right in the face and they're like, yeah, we'll get it done. And then they don't get it done. And there's always some type of something that
they're not us, man.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, we are in a position that we're building businesses, employing people, and with a growth set mindset. And not in every case. So I know there's very specific people listening to this, and I'm not going to call them out, but that are just like very growth set mindset and has successful construction businesses. And that's not them. But there are certain people that are just doing what they do because it's easy for them and it's labor related, and all the issues and all the stuff they have going on in their life and family don't matter because they can just use their hands and get work done.
Well, the problem becomes, it's like sometimes you hire a contractor and everything's going really well in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they get midway through the project or maybe toward the last third of it, and then you show up, check on the project, and that they're not there. And they're like, oh yeah, I had XYZ going on, or I had to go over here, and you're like, oh, okay. That's, not what we had in mind here, but okay. And then you come back a couple days later, still nothing's been done. And they're like, oh yeah, I got it. I'll get it done on Thursday, Friday, before the weekend for sure. And then the weekend comes, and then like the weekends are always a void, right? So it's like nothing is going to get done over the weekend, generally ever. And then Monday comes around, it's a whole new week. And then they have other problems that come up, and you're just like, you want to just wring their neck. And but the end of it comes, and you're so close to the end of the project where you're like,
and
man,
stuff never gets done.
If I fire this guy now, I'm going to have to go out and find somebody that's willing to come in and do like the last 10% of a project that nobody wants to do. and it's going to be impossible to find somebody. And you're like, if I have to start all the way over right now, I'm going to have to like go for 2-3 weeks to even find somebody that's going to be willing to do it. And should I just stick with this guy because he could probably get it done in 3 weeks, even though I'm really pissed off? That's what you're left with. And that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off.
My dad has made a business of just doing the last 10%.
Yeah, he's Blue Tape Solutions.
Yeah, and he only works in $1 million+ homes.
Yeah, well,
and
that's the reason I haven't called your dad.
Yeah, and he's making, and I think he gets like $150 an hour.
Yeah,
he just goes in,
but he probably gets shit done fast, right?
So he's just focused. Yep, and he gets shit done. He has this huge. He bought this old fiber optic, and it's not old, but fiber optic like truck. And it has a whole entire custom workshop in the back of this damn thing with every tool you could ever need.
Okay.
And he goes in, he can customize anything and get things done. And he's like the guy that's usually finishing up the hardware, hanging doors, finishing trim up that wasn't done, anything that, all those little things. And that's his whole entire focus. But God, man, he's making like $250,000 a year doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's like
one-man team.
I know.
No help.
Amazing. Like that is the business model. If I'm okay, first of all, I have no skills in contracting. Like, although I do want to talk about, I did a lot of manual labor this week, and I'll bring that up. But like, if you have a skilled laborer, like the money is in the finishes for sure, because it's not that hard to set cabinets. It's not that hard to do multiple facets of remodeling. But when you get down to the last 10%, that's when everybody bails. They're like, oh, we're about done. And like, so I always say when you're, 90% done, you're 50% done. Because the last 10% just is excruciating how long it takes.
Just get this shit done. Like,
yeah, get it done. Like, I don't need to go over and talk to you or meet you or give you just get it done.
I have this like nice house in West Omaha that I'm waiting to list, and it was supposed to list April last year.
It is in 2024.
Yeah, still not listed to this day. And I went and walked it just the other day, and he's like, "There's some blue tape in there. Just go there and blue tape everything." And I'm like,
"You're like, it's all blue tape."
I probably put about 60 pieces, maybe more. And I'm just like, the hardware isn't switched. This paint is weird. You didn't paint the railway. Change out these fixtures. Like, you still haven't put in the faucets yet.
Man, I hired this guy, and I actually have 4 single family homes that I've held for a while now that are rentals that came vacant. And I'm just like, I self-managed them, all of them. And I'm like, I'm done. I probably have $100,000 in equity in each one on average. And I'm like, I just need these finished out. I don't want to hire like a crew because they're cosmetic remodels or whatever. So hired a guy, and it has not gone according to plan because I was like, look, man, this one should be like a week. This one should be like, 4 weeks. This one should be like, I have them all lined up. Like, you have your whole summer ahead of you already paid for, right? Good news.
Yeah.
And then now we're 2.5 months into the first one, and I'm to the point where I'm just like completely exasperated with how it's going. But it's down to the point where it's like all I have left is tiling something like so I'm just like, I don't know what to do because I made the choice to hire him. Yes, that's on me, but it's not finished. I'm so frustrated. Anyway, that's this week. And to the point where I have 2 of the 4 projects that I talked about just had punch list stuff. And so I literally went over there this week and last week, and I've been painting, I've been mulching, I've been doing all this stuff.
Taro Yarber yelling in your head?
Yeah. So I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? But at the same time, I did feel kind of like a man. You know what I mean? Like I did a little manual labor and got a little tan out of the deal. Well, not really. We have bad lighting in here, guys.
We have great lighting in here.
So anyway,
for our YouTube and Rumble followers,
that's my grinds my gears episode for this week.
Oh, good. That took 17 minutes of our podcast. I love
it. You're welcome, listeners.
I think that's an important conversation, and I think that there's a huge need. So, like wherever area you are in, if you're a contractor, maybe think about creating a company that's just that blue tape final 10% finishing company that can knock shit out real fast.
If I could hire a business like that, I would hire them repeatedly for all of my like unit turns, flips, whatever, because it's a huge gap in the construction arena. Yeah, for sure.
And then how would you handle that with the contractor you hired? Like, hey, I'm going to hire you, but then I'm not going to hire you for the last 10%.
I think they would love it, honestly.
And
because none of them want to do it.
How would that pricing go?
But like, I like your bid. However, let's shave off, 10% of the last part of it because I know you're not going to be here anyway. You know what I mean?
So in the contract, it would have to state something like, if you do not finish the blue tape walkthrough within 7 business days, then 10% of this bill will be removed. And
carrot or the stick. I like it.
10% of this bill will be removed, and then we will outsource over to another company.
Man, if anybody has any advice about this,
should we do a meeting with my dad?
We should. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get him on here.
Well, you want to get him on here?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. If we have to do so many edits.
That's totally fine. We can do that. Aiden's game. Okay. So let's talk about Wednesday's episode that's coming up.
Yeah.
Nikki Klug nominated for San Diego Woman of the Year.
Yeah.
San Diego, by the way.
Yeah, love that.
San Diego,
the whales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anchorman.
Yeah. So
watch it.
So she's been coming to our luncheons, and she came to a couple of our events, and she got talking one time, and she's like, we got investment properties, I'm interior designing. I came in from San Diego, and then I like a quick one-on-one with her. Like, I'm like, hey, pulled her off the side. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? First off, I've never seen you here. Like, you seem extremely interesting and very well spoken. Obviously an extremely intelligent woman. And I was like, I need to know more about you and what you're doing. Like this is all new to me. And then she's like, I got 40 some rental units. I invest in multifamily. I'm starting to get into Airbnbs. And I'm like, man, we got to get you on the podcast. Like, we got to, I really want to dig into you. Let's talk. And she's like, that'd be great. And by the way, I got to give you kudos. You really managed that podcast. Like, you took over on that one. You did. Well,
I badgered her into having an old fashioned. So I think that really greased the wheels.
She's like, it's 9 a.m. Yeah. I'm like, but we'll be here till 1.
You're welcome, listeners.
Just so you guys know, we're in the studio usually for about 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this is the whole day. What's funny about that is, like, sidebar here, but I have business partners and various businesses, and they'll be like, hey, I have a meeting on Thursday or Friday, blah, blah, like, we need to meet with this person or on whatever. And I'm like, look, Thursdays and Fridays are just not good for me at all. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, what time can we make it work? And I'm just like, I just don't want to do meetings on Thursdays and Fridays.
I just don't meet on Fridays.
Yeah, like, I'm out Friday. Yeah. Like, Friday's podcast day.
I do have a haircut today. And
do you?
Yes.
That's
but
good.
they serve whiskey at the haircut place.
Of course they do.
I got to tell you what, though, speaking of your business partners, I don't know if I brought this up last week or not based on time frame, but I had the opportunity to be the real estate agent representing to show you guys an investment property. Regardless of it did or didn't happen, that isn't the point. But I had so much fun seeing all your partners in one place. Like, because I feel like I have a little story between each one of them.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously, I know you for the podcast and everything else, but then there's like Chris Pomalu, which is like one of my first real estate investor clients I've ever had.
Yeah.
Colin Schwartz, because of how we met Colin when I was with Chris.
Yeah.
And then Brandon, because he's married to somebody that I went to high school with, and then I used to see him at all
super weird
reunions and everything, and then he's your business partner. Never in my life have I been in a room where all of you guys were together.
Oh, is that right?
That was the first time ever.
What?
All of you guys in the same spot, and I've never seen that.
Huh.
And I remember there was a text message that went across, and I think it was Colin or somebody, and it's like, hey, thanks for, we didn't want you to waste your time. That was the farthest of a waste of time. Like, it was so fun to like just hang out with you guys. Like, I'm like, I am excited about the next opportunity that I don't even give two shits if you guys buy something. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think more real estate agents need to like think like that too. Like, sometimes it isn't getting the deal. If you get an opportunity just to be with somebody that you're going to grow from, learn from, and maybe want to be around, don't worry about the commissions, guys.
Yeah.
Like just take the opportunity to be around. The money will come one day. It could be a year. It could be 10 years. Who cares? But take the opportunity for what it is and accept that opportunity, because I really enjoyed that, just hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. And it's funny getting like all of them in the room, together, because honestly, it doesn't happen very often for me either, because it's once a month we, get together for a liquid lending monthly meeting and whatever. But like, I have 10,000 text messages, like it's all day, every day. Like we're always texting each other, but the in-person stuff falls by the wayside a lot of times, especially nowadays. But that was a lot of fun. Like that, I always like having you in on those too. But yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, like there's always been one missing piece, I think, or a couple of us.
What I mean, first off, you and Colin, I see more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Chris is like the missing link generally.
Yeah, he's usually the guy that's like, oh yeah, I'd love to, guys, but I can't.
But sometimes,
I'd love to, but I can't.
Maybe I'll see Chris with one of you two, but not both of you guys. And then you add Brandon to the list. I was like, well, how do I see Brandon with anybody?
Yeah, Brandon's like the guy that pops up every once in a while, and you're like, oh my God, like you actually exist?
Yeah.
Like
Brandon needs to be on his podcast.
That's what you keep saying you're going to get him on here. We'll see if that happens. But okay, so like going back to the episode we had with Nikki Klug on Wednesday coming up here, she mentioned something casually that I think gets thrown around a lot, which is a penny saved is a penny earned. And I was thinking about this probably 10 years ago, where a penny saved is actually more like a penny 0.25 earned. So if you could say like $1 saved is $1.25 earned, meaning that if you can save things on the expense side, you're going to actually save way more than $1, like dollar for dollar. So taxes is where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. So if you have income, if you're like, hey, I'm just going to increase income, you're going to have to pay taxes on that income. Where if you save the money, you're actually saving an entire dollar. So the point being here is a penny saved is actually more like a penny 0.25 earned. And if you can save expenses, that is the best way to increase your NOI, especially on like multifamily or commercial real estate deals. And increasing income, you're going to have to pay taxes on every single dollar that you make. Whereas expenses, if you save $1, you're actually equaling way more than $1 if you're actually able to execute on it. So that's, today's rant and gold nugget.
Well, that was today's golden nugget.
Hey, actually, Ted, let me throw a bonus nugget on the nugget, which I know you love.
Well, Nikki had tons of nuggets on.
She did, and this is one you mentioned before as a possibility for the GN. And Nikki, who you're going to hear from on Wednesday, who is a total. Like, this was one of my favorite podcasts that we did with her. And I know we say that a lot, but it really was. She is exceptional. And she is an interior designer. And she mentioned that a lot of decisions, and I think this was maybe off camera when she mentioned this, but buyers for real estate make a lot of decisions unconsciously in the first 7 seconds that they walk into a property.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that as well.
Well, every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, and that wants to list a property, I'm like, the number one thing you should be doing is making everything going up to the property amazing. Mm-hmm. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've driven up to a property, and right when we see it, the client's like, I'm not sure about that one. And then we just drive off. We don't even walk the property, which is super effing annoying, because I'm like, you can fix most of this. But guys, if you're doing a flip, if you're looking to sell your house, you need the front yard to look amazing. You need some plants up there. You need a beautiful light. You need to make sure that the front windows look good. Make sure that it's power washed. I don't give a shit about the sides and the back. It's a whole nother story. Just focus on the front. If you have a porch, make sure it's painted. Make sure you have some nice hardware on that front door. You want, when they're putting a hand on or touching the house for the first time, it's that felt, found, but I say smell.
Okay.
You feel that door, you open it up, and you want that smell to hit you that's inviting, not the cat piss. And so focus on everything to get them into the door to make it feel like home. There's a lot of people that bake cookies that are realtors. My mom's one of those people. She bakes cookies on all of her showings. She doesn't put the incense in. She physically bakes the cookies. There's something that triggers in your brain that makes you think of home.
Yeah.
There's something to all that. So keep that in mind when you're listing your properties, or if you're an investor, that actually like hand-on does a open house or something for your renters, this is also a great idea. Make everything a presence when you walk in.
7 seconds matters. So
Yes.
the first 7 seconds of a person's interaction with a property is extremely important, and a lot of times they make the subconscious decision whether or not they're going to buy it. So pay attention to landscaping, curb appeal, and the entry, and what you're going to pass through in the house. So this, we can tie this all back to staging and all that. But like a lot of times the tendency, if you're flipping a house, is we don't have any money for landscaping, so we're just going to call it good. And then somebody, like to your point, they drive up, they see a, crappy looking house on the outside, and they're just going to be like, not for me.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, before we wrap today, you and I are going to the REI Summit this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And
can't wait, man. I am so pumped. I'm seriously pumped.
There's so many people we're going to meet up with there, which will be fun. This will be like an experience of any other experiences we've had going to conferences. In my opinion.
Like we have Old Home Week there.
What's the one goal you have for going to this conference? Because I think that's really important to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. This is kind of lame, but I want to solidify my experience with, say, Tarl Yarber, Brandon Turner. Like I'd really like to at least hang out with them a little bit. Mm-hmm. No goal, no intentions, no goal or whatever, just to get to know them a little bit.
Deep in a friendship we've already created.
Yeah, but to Tarl's point, which last week you probably heard, is, it's kind of creepy when people like creep up on you in a conference and interrupt your conversation.
But he also said that when you have an intention to get out of meeting them.
Like, I don't have any agenda.
Which you didn't. And you just said you didn't have an agenda. And I just said that to deepen your friendship. And that's not intention to get something. You're not trying to get something out of them. You don't have a goal to use them.
So generally when I go to these things, I either have a goal, which is like I want to meet people that are involved with something I'm doing right now, so I can, I can make relationships with them. I can learn from them. I can make connections through them, all that. But this one, I don't really have anything specific other than there's some really kick-ass people that are going there that I personally know that I would really like to get to know better. And also, there's going to be 1,000+ people there that are all doing real estate. So I'm excited about the lobby conversations that I'm going to have and just be able to meet some just really good operators, high thinking people that have really good mindsets. Beyond that, I don't have a specific business goal necessarily other than just deepening and like making new connections, deepening my connections with people I already have met, and then meeting others.
So this might be my last year that I go to any real estate conference, actually buying real estate conference tickets.
Oh,
so
wow!
Unless there's a keynote speaker that I really want to see.
Okay.
And the reason being is that there's so many people we talk to and like, hey, I just go to all the real estate conferences, stay in the same hotel, and then make the connections out in the hallways and do everything networking wise. And I'm not trying to say that I'm above and beyond anybody that's speaking, but also I've been to a handful of conferences now, and I feel like a lot of that is just recycled. Plus, how much information can you get in an hour?
Right. And you get to the point where like what they touch on in conferences isn't going to move the needle with the speakers.
Yep.
It's always more of the connections you make in the lobby and like afterwards. So that's more what I'm focused on now. But, Tarl in particular, like that was the first time I've ever talked to him when we had him on the podcast. And he just seems like just a great dude. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to meet him for that. And then it was funny because Alex Felice, which we've had on the episode, when was that? Probably like a year ago. He was
longer.
He was like a BP, like Bigger Pockets filmographer, and he did a lot of the like AV work for Brandon's Better Life podcast when it initially started. He's actually in Austin. He lives there. And I really like Alex. Like he's a very antagonistic type of a guy. I like texted him this week and I was like, hey, are you going to this deal? And he's like, well, I'm not buying a ticket, but I'm sure I'll be there type thing. And so anyway, I hope to, hook up with him and, just see where it goes. But
I reached out to Jason Dries also. He's like,
oh yeah, he's in town too. Yeah, right.
He lives there, and he's like, oh, I wasn't invited to the event, but I'm sure I'll be around.
Yeah. That's a baller move.
Yeah.
Like I would love to. Which we have, by the way, a reminder: August 20th, we have the mid-size multifamily masterclass coming up that Ted and I put together with some great local speakers here, and we're going to announce probably at some point here,
Maybe after this week.
maybe
Yeah.
a bigger speaker that's been more on the national stage as opposed to just local here in Omaha. But appreciate you guys listening, and with that, Ted, you want to kick us out of here?
Yeah. So first off, thank you guys so much for listening. And if you guys love the content we're putting out, we would appreciate a 5-star review on whatever format you're listening
Hell
to.
yeah, we would.
And if you give us a written review, we will read that at some point live right here on this channel. And please share us with somebody that will get something out of this, because we feel like we do put some, worthy information out there. But with that, Owen Dashner, you see us out.
On behalf of REIA Radio, Aiden Bear, and Ted Kosh, I'm Owen Dashner, and you've been listening to the
Real Estate Rundown. Sign off. This is episode 217 with Owen Dashner.
redo that. Dude, people are going to tune into this episode for the first time, and they're going to hear that jackass intro.
It was fucking amazing.
No, it was not.
It's like,
Redo it. Come on.
welcome to the Real Estate Rundown. This is Ted Kosh, and I have with me co-host Owen Dashner.
All right, I'll take over here.
Thank you.